This episode of Sports Spectrum's podcast is presented by Compassion International and their Fill the Stadium initiative. CJ Ham's coming up as our guest here in a second from the Minnesota Vikings. And there's a lot of NFL players that have partnered with Compassion to help fill the stadium, to stand in the gap for 70,000 kids who are left without a child sponsorship because of this pandemic. 70,000 also happens to be the average size of many pro football stadiums. And that's what happened was NFL players, other pro athletes, and their friends helped form with Compassion this Fill the Stadium initiative. So you can join in with us, with Compassion, with our pro football friends and family to help stand in the gap for 70,000 kids. And it's bad. It's gone to places like not just being hungry, but literally starvation. So any amount helps. You can donate right now at fillthestadium.com to give, fillthestadium.com, and help release kids from poverty with Compassion International.
Welcome to the Sports Spectrum Podcast, the intersection of sports and faith. Here's your host, Jason Romano.
And welcome, everyone, to the show. I am Jason Romano, and this is Sports Spectrum. Got a great conversation with CJ Ham, the Minnesota Vikings Pro Bowl fullback, coming up in just a second. First, want to tell you about our website, sportspectrum.com. It is the home base for all of our content. If you want to read stories about sports intersecting with faith in Jesus, man, make sure you bookmark sportspectrum.com. You can go there on your phone with your mobile device. You can go there on your laptop. There are stories updated every single day on the website. We also have devotionals each morning, Monday through Friday. You can sign up for those at sportspectrum.com and have them emailed right to your inbox as well. But you can go to sportspectrum.com and read those devotionals each day. They literally take 30 seconds to maybe a minute or two. They're a great way to get in Scripture and be encouraged each morning in your journey of faith. And then the podcast network has all of our podcasts there. Sports Spectrum is there. Recalibrated with Mallory Brown. We have Table 40 with Matt and Leslie Holiday. Get in the Game. That's our newest podcast with former MLB pitcher Scott Linebrink. All of our podcasts are available there at sportspectrum.com. And again, we got a great conversation today with CJ Ham. Such a humble, awesome dude. He really is. When you think about the journey that CJ Ham has that's taken him to the NFL, think about this. He played his college football at Augustana, Division II school in South Dakota. He grew up in Duluth, Minnesota, and then went to South Dakota to play college football, D2 school, and he helped the Vikings, ironically their same nickname as the NFL team, advance to the NCAA playoffs, and he led the Northern Sun Conference in rushing yards and touchdowns. So he was a running back doing some pretty great things in college, but then he goes undrafted, and he gets one team. He tells this amazing story. I'm not going to give it away. One team that looks at him and says, we're interested in bringing you on our club. And it happens to be the team that he grew up watching in his hometown state as a kid who grew up in Duluth, Minnesota. He's now a fullback with the Minnesota Vikings. CJ's got a great story. He also gets very candid with us about grief and about going through the highs and the lows that life deals to us. He lost his mom last year. And we talk about what that's been like for him in his faith journey, trying to move forward and process all that took place in losing his mom to cancer 1 year ago. CJ Ham's our guest here on Sports Spectrum. I think you're going to enjoy this conversation with the Vikings fullback. Let's take a listen. CJ, what's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, man. Thanks for having me, and I'm excited to talk.
Good. Me too. I'm glad that you're joining us here on the show. Let's start with you going from a family of 4 to a family of 5, the birth of Cortez Thaddeus Ham III, I saw in February. So congrats, my friend. How does it feel now to be a dad of 3?
I appreciate it. It's been amazing to have my first son, and I got 2 wonderful little girls. But I'm super excited. My wife was super excited to bring a boy into this world, and he's been a complete blessing to our family, to our life so far, and we're excited to see what the future holds. He's growing really fast.
And that namesake, right? Being the third?
Exactly. I almost felt like a little pressure. People were telling me that, like, hey, if you don't have a boy, your name's going to stop. And I guess I didn't even think about it that way. And, I'm glad God blessed us with a son.
And the wives are the real heroes in all of this, correct?
100%. She is a superhero. I don't know how she does it, but she's a strong woman, that's for sure.
Let's talk about the last year or so with you. 2020 was just a weird year from all perspectives, obviously. There was a lot to kind of break down. There was highs and lows, obviously, that took place personally for you and, playing in the NFL. Just an overarching question, I guess, on what 2020, when you look back on that season last year, what comes to mind? What kind of thoughts?
A lot of unexpected. For many, many reasons. COVID, being tested every single day, not knowing exactly when the season was going to start, every week not knowing if the season is going to be ended. Those type of things bring their own stress and anxiety to our lives, and many people's lives out there were drastically changed due to COVID protocols and all these different things. So on the football side, it was nerve wracking. It was tough, but we got through it. We adjusted. It wasn't all that bad. You get used to anything. On the personal side, it was a tough year. Losing my mom. My mom was battling stage 4 pancreatic cancer for about a year and a half, almost a year and a half, and she had passed away May 29th of 2020, and it hurt. It was extremely hard. It continues to be extremely hard for myself and my family. Not having her there in this season was different. It was weird. Still to this day, I just want to call her and talk to her. But it also showed me that, that because of her strength, because of her battle, I was able to push forward, and because of God and because of the things that He puts in our life with my family and all the people who continue to pour into me, definitely helped me get through this year.
Did it change your perspective on anything when you're going through this personal, valley, if you want to call it that? Obviously, yeah. Losing your mom, it was tough, but did you have anything that you kind of take away and you say, okay, God showed me something here in the midst of the grieving and the pain and all of that comes when you lose someone so close to you? Was there something there that God kind of, showed you, revealed to you, maybe taught you during this whole time that you were going through it?
Yeah. I feel like it's easy for anyone to say when they lose somebody close, but it's that life is extremely short, and at any moment it can be taken from you. And just to lean on God's plan. We don't always really understand what it is. I may never understand why my mom had to go through what she went through on this earth, but I will get that understanding. I will get that when I get to heaven with her. So, but yeah, I just feel like it taught me that life is extremely short. So what are you doing with it? Talking about the church of Laodicea, when Jesus, I think it was the last church he had spoken to in Revelation 3, just talking about, their faith was lukewarm. It didn't really have a purpose. It wasn't hot or cold. We need to have a purpose with our faith, need to have a purpose with our life. Is my faith lukewarm, or is it serving a purpose? So with the losing of my mom, it's really just put a fire under me, and I'm still working on it today. I'm still trying to get there. But it's to have a purpose, is to have my works show, to go out and do things with my faith, not having my works be my sole purpose, but being a Christian, our works need to show, and they're gonna show because we are a new creation, and just really being intentional about my purpose in life.
Walk me through a little bit. You kind of said you're still going through it with the grieving process. Obviously, you always grieve when you lose a loved one. My grandfather is the best man I ever known, passed 14 years ago, and I still grieve, 14 years later. I still think about him and I miss him. But walk me through that, because I think a lot of people don't, I guess from a perspective of someone who hasn't gone through it right at this moment, is there a right way or a wrong way to kind of support someone who in a family like what you guys were going through? Because I think you've been through it now. You can maybe share some wisdom that you experienced in the grieving process, having a support system and people around you. And then there's others who are like, I don't want to bother them. They're kind of going through it. What was that like for you in terms of just trying to get through it initially? Because I know it was something that you knew was coming, but you still don't expect it to happen and then it happens and you got to grieve through it. What was that like?
Just to answer your question too, is that like, I feel, even myself, I felt like at times I didn't want to talk to anybody. At times I didn't even want to talk to God, just because I was so hurt. I was so angry. I was just so confused. But I truly, truly believe having people around you who are positive and share the same type of faith as you as well, and it really does go a long way. Some of our closest adult friends, live about 5 houses down from us, and they have both lost their parents, one at a very young age and one of them not too long ago. And to have them be able to talk with me and to have them to be able to continue to pour into me spiritually. He's a youth pastor and the family is great. That really, really helped me in a significant way. Because so many times I just wanted to, go into a room and just be silent. But that's definitely not the way to handle it. And there's still times I want to do that, but just being intentional about surrounding myself with people who care and want to see you get better.
And being a dad probably helps too, because you can kind of pour yourself into your kids and understand that there's still, a legacy to leave here, and it's something that you're carrying on from your mom and instilling, I'm sure, into your 2 daughters and now your son.
Exactly. My oldest daughter is the one that, really, really remembers. We call her Granny. So, just about every single night, she's talking about Granny, and it's so fun to see. She doesn't mention the name Jesus without mentioning Granny. And it's awesome. It's really cool. It's really cool to see, she's like, I got Granny and I got Jesus in my heart. My kids loved my mom significantly. So it's on me to continue to pour into them and continue to keep her alive, through them so that they'll never forget. And I think that's very fun, because she's always going to be a part of my life, and I want to do all I can to make sure that my kids remember that.
Absolutely. I actually saw, in the weird year that was 2020, there were no fans, of course, but they still allowed NFL films and cameras in there and guys to be wired up and mic'd up. And I think there was a game where you were mic'd up, and I happened to find it on YouTube, and it showed how you were kind of honoring your mom. And I'm guessing you did that before every game, right? Or especially during, you play special teams as well as being a fullback. And there's a way where you're able to honor your mom or pray, or, just kind of give her a little wink and a nod before every game, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Obviously, for many, many years, I pray before the game. I pray for my family. I send my family, an I love you text before every single game. But yeah, like you said, just in this past year, not having fans, not having my mom out there, I was able to, say things like, I love you, Mom, before the game. And just many times throughout the game. And I know that she's watching, and I just want to continue to make her proud.
Let's take a quick break from our conversation to tell you a little bit more about Compassion International and their Fill the Stadium initiative. Due to COVID-19, 70,000 children and their families in the Compassion programs needed your urgent support. You see, 70,000 is the capacity of the average pro football stadium, and that's where the idea for Fill the Stadium came about. And it's a stadium that cannot remain empty, and your help is needed here for these children in crisis, just looking for basic necessities like food and education and medical care and vocational training, things like that. Your donation will help these children and their families through the critical next 12 months. And great updates here. Our goal is to help 70,000 kids. Well, so far we've filled almost 50,000 seats of those 70,000 kids. So you are doing an amazing work, and many of our pro athlete friends have donated large amounts of money as well. And it's just really neat to see the body come together in a need of crisis. But the work isn't finished yet. Still got about 20,000 kids and their families that are in desperate need of help. So you can help restore what COVID-19 destroyed and help provide essential food, medical care, and support for a child and their family during this pandemic. Go to fillthestadium.com to donate, to make a difference in a child's life and their family's life at fillthestadium.com. This is a stadium that cannot remain empty. Again, fillthestadium.com. He's CJ Ham, the Minnesota Vikings Pro Bowl fullback, joining us here today on Sports Spectrum. So let's go back a little bit. Summer of 2016. This week here, as we air this interview, it's the week of the NFL draft, the 2021 NFL draft, and there's guys that are going to be in that position to be drafted in the first couple of rounds, and there's the middle round guys, and then there's the guys who might get drafted, might not. You fell into that latter mode, if you will, of going undrafted. So kind of take us back a little bit, I guess even before the summer to the spring of 2016. You're coming from a D2 school and you don't get drafted, but you still get an opportunity. Take me through that time for you when you were coming out. Even just being from a D2 school, in a lot of ways, there's a lot of great D2 players that have made it to the NFL, but it's very hard and very difficult to get there. So take us back to that time.
Like you kind of said, I wasn't drafted. 2016, coming out of Augustana University. There wasn't many scouts. I did two pro days, talked to a handful of scouts after each pro day. Gave me some confidence, and it just made me think like, okay, I will get an opportunity. I deserve to be in this league. And when it came to draft day, my agent hadn't heard anything. There's no teams talking to him about, being drafted first off, or even an undrafted free agent contract. There was no noise about that. And, after the draft, I was hurt. I was extremely hurt. I really thought that was it. And so I went to all Saturday without hearing anything. And, ironically, the next day, Sunday, decided to go to church. And, right in the middle of worship, I get a call from my agent saying that the Vikings wanted to give me a tryout. And, that was the only opportunity I had. I was going to go out there and be able to put an NFL helmet on for 3 days. And, that was really it. And, being blessed by the Lord, I was able to go out and press and, get an opportunity. And, he continues to be, faithful, as I continue to go on with my career.
Well, a couple things there. First of all, being in the middle of worship and getting a call from your agent is fascinating to me. I can just picture you like raising your hands and singing, and all of a sudden your phone rings and it's your agent, kind of like, a call from God answering your prayers at that moment. But I think it's also fascinating because, when you hear this, it's kind of cliche, right, CJ? It only takes one team. But in this case, it really only took one team because it was the only team. And it happened to also be the hometown team for you, right? Like, because you grew up in Minnesota.
Exactly. I'm from Duluth, Minnesota. Not born and raised, but raised. Moved to Minnesota when I was like 1 or 2 years old, and I called Minnesota home.
Fascinating to me. So you get that call and you get to go have this tryout, and you're a running back, right? When you first come out of college, and you had a great career, a great D2 career, but you come to the Vikings. And at some point, a year later or so, you transition from running back to fullback. But just getting opportunities to try and make the team, it's so hard to kind of cut through the levels of different people, especially when you're not drafted, because when you get drafted, you're kind of pushed through, not everyone, but for the most part, you're kind of pushed through the system at least for a year to get a chance. But you didn't get drafted. So what was it during that summer of 2016 that you think helped you stand out and have the Vikings say, you know what, we're going to take a chance on this guy?
First off, I just think it's God's plan. I could have went out there and did all I could, and it didn't work out. Just so happened to be kind of a perfect year to come into the Vikings. They didn't draft a running back that year. They had a couple undrafted free agent guys. One of them got hurt in the middle of OTAs. So it was kind of, I was able to step into that role. And at that rookie mini camp, although I was playing running back, they were also having me learn the fullback position. So just being able to maybe learn 2 positions in those 3 days, might have helped my case. I was very surprised that the Vikings wanted me to sign as a running back first off. I kind of already knew that if I really wanted to do something in the NFL, I'd probably have to be at fullback. But they signed me as a running back right away, and I was just like, you know what, I get to live this dream out. Hopefully it goes a long way. Then the next year we draft Dalvin Cook and bring in Latavius, and I'm sitting here thinking like, yeah, I think my running back days might be over. And just by God's grace, again, I got a phone call and said, hey, we want you to learn the fullback position this offseason. And I was more than happy to do it because I felt like that was going to be my calling, anyways, just to get a shot. And I'm sitting here today.
That's it. I love it. And yeah, it wasn't easy because in September of 2016, that rookie year, you were actually cut, right? And then they signed you to the practice squad. So you weren't just signed and all of a sudden in week 1 you're playing. This was a role that you kind of had to learn and grind through, as so many other players do, that rookie year. But you do get promoted to the active roster at the end of that year. So what was 2016 like when you think back to that year as a member of the practice squad for so many weeks, and then you get that chance to get promoted to the active squad? What was that year like when you think back, not just from a playing position, but even just from a maturation, right? Being a young guy, 23 years old, just trying to figure out life, trying to figure out this pro football career, and being on the Vikings that year.
Yeah. So, 2016, come in, make the practice squad. The practice squad gig is pretty much a week-to-week gig. You don't really ever know if you're going to be on it the whole season, or you can be on it for a couple of days and get released. There's a whole bunch of up and down when it comes to that. So me being married, very newly married, having our first daughter, we didn't know what to expect. So we found the nicest but cheapest apartment, 1-bedroom apartment for 3 of us. Yep. Just, making sure that we can always make ends meet, no matter if I get cut and never play again, or just always thinking to the future and trying to be smart with the things that we do. But I love the practice squad year. It was awesome just to have an opportunity to live out my dream of being in the NFL. I got to play football for a living for that entire year, and I really used it as a redshirt year. I took it very seriously, and getting to go against one of the top defenses in the NFL every single day, it really helped me. It really helped me see the game a little better, adjust to the speed, and I'm just very, very thankful for my practice squad year, because I think if I would have just made the active roster or anything like that, it would have been tough. And I had majority of that year to grow and become a better football player.
So every NFL player, and it's cliche to say a come to Jesus moment, obviously ironic that we're talking about obviously sports and faith here on the show, but it's a real thing when followers of Christ have that encounter, right, with the Lord, with God. What was that moment like for you? Can you kind of talk through that, accepting Christ, God kind of revealing himself to you in a way that you were like, okay, this is my faith, and I want to place my faith and trust in Christ. When was that for you?
Yeah, so I grew up in a Christian home. My dad is a licensed minister. Did a lot of street ministry, prison ministry. I used to go out and evangelize with them and doing street ministry when I was a kid. So I had faith very early, and but just because I had faith very early, I still think there's a moment that everybody has to make their faith their own. So for me, when I got to college, my freshman year, I didn't have to go to class. I didn't have anybody telling me that I had to go to class. I didn't have anybody telling me, hey, let's get up and go to church or go to a youth group and go to like a meeting or anything like that. So I didn't for quite some time. And I think it's about my junior year where I just felt the Holy Spirit. So being a kid, accepting the Lord into my heart, I have the Holy Spirit living within me, and I just felt that tug continuing to pull on me all the way throughout college. And junior year, I was able to find a church home, it was my girlfriend at the time, bring my wife there with me, and now she is a devout follower of Jesus Christ, and her faith continues to grow, and it continues to help me want to become a better man of Christ too. And to answer your question, it was about junior year where I really felt the Holy Spirit pulling on me to rededicate my life and get back consistently in His Word and join a family.
Did you find it easy or difficult to kind of not just be a Christian, but to stay fed, right? To stay connected to the Lord as a professional football player in the NFL?
It's a good question. And I don't think really walking with the Lord is an easy thing to do. It's
true.
We live in a world that is the total opposite. Everything is pulling us away from what God has called us to do and what He envisions for our life. So it's an everyday battle. It's an everyday thing, dealing with your own sin, dealing with the things of the world that are coming at you, especially as a professional athlete. There's so many things that we're asked to do, so many things that are coming to us in different ways, and just trying to align that or pray about, God, is this really what you want me to do? It's hard to do.
So how do you do it? What are ways that you stay connected? What are ways that you stay fed during a long season? I know there's Bible study. I know there's in the off season, in a non-pandemic year, there's a place like PAO and the Increase, but what are some ways that you stay connected?
Well, first off, my wife. My wife is she's amazing. And like I said earlier, her faith, to see how much it's grown in these years, it really keeps me fed, and it keeps me hungry to want to be a spiritual man and a man to show my family what it's like to love Jesus. So my wife first and foremost is a great way, but like you said, Bible studies. We have a great church home, River Valley Church that we attend regularly. And, we have a great team chaplain who continues to pour into us. Tom Lamphere, Tom and Jeannie, all year, all the time, pouring into us, sending us text messages, finding ways for us to get together. It's been amazing to have, the people in my life. And I think God has placed me, where I am with the Vikings. For those reasons, I've made so many connections with great men and women of Christ who have really helped me become the man I am today.
So as we wind down, we're with CJ Ham here on Sports Spectrum, Minnesota Vikings fullback. Going back on the field just to have a little fun. It's got to be weird playing football games in front of no one. That had to be so bizarre, especially that first few games where you're playing and there's not one single fan in the stands.
Yeah, for sure. It's a undescribable feeling, really. But that first game against Green Bay, it's like I think there was something wrong with our sound system too, because like the crowd noise was super low. It was completely dead in there, and it almost felt like a inter squad type of scrimmage type of thing, just because there was nothing. But as the season kept going on, you kind of just get used to it, and I was able to just focus in on the game, and I didn't even really notice, at times, if there are fans there or not, just because being so locked in and dialed in. But I am extremely excited to have fans back. Hopefully back this season. I might be biased, but I think our stadium is the best out there, and when the fans fill that up, we got the best fans out there too. So super excited for things in 2021.
And how great was it for you, or satisfying, I guess is the better word, to make that switch from running back to fullback, and just a couple of years later, you get that opportunity to be a Pro Bowler? That must have been kind of almost a wink and a nod again from God, being like, see, if you just trust me, I got you here. That must have been pretty satisfying.
Yeah, it was a dream come true. I grew up watching NFL, watching guys go to Hawaii, playing the Pro Bowl, bring the kids out there. It was something that I really dreamt of, and to be able to do that, and to be able to bring my mom there, it was amazing. Like you said, it's a God thing. To be able to have her see me go to the Pro Bowl, sign a new contract. Those are all things that only line up because of God. And it truly meant a lot to be there for myself, obviously, but just for my whole family, to be able to see, even my dad, to see the success that I had in that moment. And I know he was extremely proud too. And it was just awesome.
That's cool. Last question I got for you is a question we ask all of our guests on the show. Today, right, where God has you, we're taping this in the spring of 2021. You know, it's a few months still from the season starting, but when you think about where your faith is right now, what is the great lesson that God is teaching you right now? What's he showing you? What's he teaching you today? I feel like he teaches something new to us every day when we get in his word. But for you today, CJ, what is the Lord showing you?
To not get complacent is to have that childlike wonder and continuing to want to learn. To never feel like you know enough. To never feel like you're the most spiritual person in the room. To always dig in and to always be willing to learn and to humble yourself enough to serve those around you. I mean, Jesus lived a life of serving, and living a life of servanthood is living a life like Jesus. And, going back to what I said earlier is, does my faith have a purpose? I need to serve those around me. And that's the purpose that I'm definitely going towards in this 2021 season, 2021 year of life. I'm just super excited to see what God does.
I forgot I wanted to ask you one more question. Kirk Cousins, obviously your quarterback, is very open about his faith. He's been on our show and he's been on, many places talking about the Lord. What's it mean for you to have a guy like that as your general, as your leader, but also a guy who loves the Lord and says, you know what, this is not some phony fake Christianity. This is real and it's how it guides me. What's it like to have a guy like that, not just being a great quarterback, but being a spiritual leader for you guys?
I think it makes the world a difference. Kirk is the man. He continues to show every year how great he is as a player. And for someone to take so much so-called criticism, he shows his faith in something so much higher just by the way he handles it. He knows that football isn't the end game for him. He serves a God who is going to provide and show him many, many things. And I think that's a testament to how he handles everything in life and how he approaches everything in life, and he wears his faith on his sleeve. And I think that really helps lead our team.
He also knows scripture really well. I remember we had him on and I'm like, this guy's going to be a pastor when he retires.
Man, it is unbelievable how this man can just rattle off scriptures. We all know he's a PK, he's a pastor's kid.
Yeah.
But he takes it to another level. The dude is wicked smart and super passionate about the Lord. So it's like you tie those two things together, you're gonna get somebody who's like that. Sure.
Absolutely. CJ, thanks, buddy. Thanks for being on the show. We'll get you back on another time too. I'd love to talk more with you and just appreciate you being willing to come on, and all the best to you, man. I hope you have a great 2021 and a great season next year.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks to CJ Ham for joining us today on the show. He's got such a great story, and he's got a humble spirit about himself that I really like when you talk to someone. It's not about CJ. You can just tell. It's about God. It's about his family, certainly about his mom, his wife, his kids, the team. I just sense that this is a guy that I would want on my team as a leader, as a humble leader who goes out there and just does his job and is faithful in trusting in God through it all. So I appreciate CJ for sharing his story here on the show. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter and Instagram and let him know that you heard his story here on Sports Spectrum. And we wish him nothing but the best. I hope he has a great 2021 season, and maybe he's back in the Pro Bowl, 10 months from now, who knows? But we appreciate CJ for being here on the show today. We also appreciate you guys for tuning in and listening. If this is the first time that you ever heard of Sports Spectrum, thank you. We are the intersection of sports and faith. So thank you for tuning in. Do us a favor, click that subscribe button on whatever app you're listening to this podcast on. That way you never miss an episode of Sports Spectrum. We are the intersection of sports and faith in Christ. And so we try to bring stories from all over the different spectrums of sports, right? With football, baseball, basketball, hockey, boxing, the Olympics. We talk to pastors, we talk to leaders, we talk to authors, speakers, you name it. We have them on here because we simply want to tell stories that point to Christ. That's what we do. That's who we are. We like to use the world of sports to do that, but this is about Jesus. It's not about us. It's not about CJ Ham. It's not about me. It's certainly not about even the work that we do. It's about Christ. And we've been stewarded and given this opportunity to have a platform like Sports Spectrum, and we want to steward it well. And the way we do that is pointing people to Jesus. And we use sports as a gateway for that. So we appreciate you for tuning in. Thank you again for joining us. Make sure you check out sportspectrum.com. That's our website. And make sure you check out fillthestadium.com as well, as we thank our partners and sponsors, Compassion International, the Fill the Stadium initiative. They're getting closer. 70,000 kids in desperate need of help. We're getting closer to filling those 70,000 seats and standing in the gap for those kids without a sponsorship. So check out fillthestadium.com and donate today. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys next time right here on Sports Spectrum. Stay safe and have a great rest of your day.